Jeff Packer here with the Packer Group, and I'm here with my sister Jamie, and we are here at her beautiful lake home, and we are talking today about the 8 things you need to know when buying a home on a lake. And since she is a lake expert, we figured we'd bring her along for the ride.
So one really important aspect of looking at lakefront properties is your frontage. So a lot of times, one of the first things I do when I am showing lakefront properties is we go right to the front area to see, is it 20 feet down? Is it sandy bottom? Is it mucky? Or is it rocky? Is there weeds? Those are all very important things usually to my clients when looking for lakefront properties. A lot of people really desire that sandy bottom, crystal clear water, somewhere where little kids can jump in, play, and you can raft and just float, and then have a gradual incline out to go swimming. So again, great aspect to look at when looking at a lakefront property, go right to the shoreline.
So one of the other things you need to consider is the lake public access boat drops, or is it private access only? A lot of times that depends on the size of the lake. So the smaller the size of the lake, they will only be private access boat drops. Otherwise, the boat launch could be public. What do you have to consider with a public lake? Well, public lake could get much, much busier as it's open to the general public to be able to use the boat launches. And all of that can add congestion to the lake. But the smaller the lake, and it being private access, could be too small to do some of the water recreational sports that you want to do. So please look and check and see if how you want to use that lake is totally doable for you. And you may want to check and see what type of crowd comes out to that lake to put their boat in. Because if it's a party lake and you're not looking for a party lake, you may not want to buy a house on that lake.
So another super important aspect is, how are you going to spend the day? Are you wanting just to fish? Are you wanting to kayak? Or do you want an all sports lake? All sports means that you can surf, wakeboard, tube, all those fun things that usually families really enjoy. The other aspect is looking at some lakes are only non-motorized, no wake, or they just have like an electric motor. So those are some very big potential things to look at when looking for the perfect lake house for your family.
So another thing you need to consider is size of lake. Size of lake is gonna lend itself to tons of different factors that you need to consider. So one is, the bigger the lake, the more public boat launches there are. More public boat launches, the more crowded it can become with the number of people that have boats on that lake. The smaller the lake, it may not have the ability to have a public boat launch, and it's private only, and therefore it's gonna be a lot more tranquil, peaceful, and there's gonna be a better sense of community. So you really need to study the size of the lake and what is best for you based on your use of that lake and what you're looking to get out of your lakefront home.
Another factor to consider when buying lakefront property is the amenities that the lake provides. Do they have gas docks? Are there boat marinas? Are there restaurants? Are there places of attractions that you would like? If there is no gas docks on the lake, get those arms ready for quite the workout. Lots of gas cans for all the toys you have.
Is it a good lake for fishing? Look, there's websites out there like the DNR website that you can find tons of information on this. Types of species in the lake, and the record size of those species, things like that. And that's gonna be an important factor as you're deciding, because the last thing you wanna do is, if you're an angler and you love to fish and the lake that you buy on just isn't great for fishing, you may find yourself really frustrated catching nothing but seaweed. Dang it. No fish this time.
Sunrise or sunset, what do you prefer? A lot of people enjoy on their back deck with a cup of coffee, watching the sunrise. Others really enjoy the sunset around the bonfire with a glass of wine. So another thing to think about when buying a lakefront property.
Another thing to factor in is seawalls versus natural shoreline. So natural shoreline, you're gonna deal with issues like erosion, things like that. You may have to get the MDEQ involved, which is the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality, if you have to make any alterations and things like that due to the erosion control and things like that. The busier the lake is, the more there's going to be waves, especially nowadays people love to surf and wakeboard, and those cast up huge waves and can cause erosion. And so what you'll see is a lot of people will go to the extent of putting in these seawalls. These seawalls are great because they control erosion, but the waves like to bounce off of them, and it can cause the lake to even be a little bit choppier in terms of that. But you need to think about these things when you're buying a lakefront home, because the lake frontage that you have, you are responsible potentially to be maintaining that if you're on an inland lake. Now, if you're on one of the Great Lakes, it's gonna be a different story. So all of those things need to be factored in as you do your research to figure out what lakefront home are you looking for. Hey, we hope you enjoyed and found the content of this video to be super helpful. Remember, like and subscribe to be able to get more great content like this. Thanks and welcome home, Detroit. Emily, do I have a hair out of place? Do I need some makeup? Okay.
You should be dabbing him,
Yeah.
fanning him.
I'm getting a little sweaty. I need you to dab under my armpits.
That
All right, you ready?
you'll get paid enough for that.
Here's our
Finally.
extra that we aren't paying for.
That's true too.
All right.